Hey everyone, Chris here. So, high-level wizards can break D&D. Wow, no kidding. You all knew that already. The classic example is you have a wizard, they have 9th level spells, and they take the wish spell, then they cast simulacrum on themselves using their 7th level spell slot, then the simulacrum uses their 9th level spell slot to cast wish, creating a simulacrum of the original wizard that still has its 9th level spell. Then the second simulacrum uses their 9th level spell slot to cast Wish on the original wizard, and so on, until you have an army of simulacrums that can all have their 8th level spell slots still, and high level class and subclass features. So the purpose of this video isn't to inform you or convince you that high level spellcasters can break D&D. You already knew that. Instead, it is to inform you of a way they can break D&D that maybe you haven't heard of or thought of before. In the past 4 months, I've ran 20 one-shots for players of levels 17 through 20, and you get a whole bunch of players, and they're all brainstorming these ideas for high-level characters, and they're going to come up with some fantastic combinations. Today I'm going to highlight a specific combination that I had never really thought of before, but I saw it multiple times in these one-shots, presumably by players who came up with it independently. And it is a broken combination. So, dear viewers, if you watch this video and decide that this combination looks like a fun thing to surprise your DM and fellow players with to break your game of D&D, I urge you to adjust your playstyle because that's the kind of behavior that can give optimizers a bad name. There are 2 healthy ways I would like you to use this information. One way is you might just watch this video and see a powerful combination that you've never thought of before, and you might find it interesting for interest's sake, but never use it, and that's great. The other might be something you want to try sometime for fun, maybe in a one-shot, and your DM and other players know ahead of time what you're planning, and they're on board for the spectacle. Fortunately, with the players I play with, this is how this kind of thing is handled, and as a DM, I was never surprised when this combination was employed because I was told about it ahead of time to make sure I was going to have fun with it too, because your DM gets to have fun. That's why they're DMing. And I, as a DM, did have fun with it in one-shots. I'm not sure I would have so much fun with it if somebody was to, do this regularly in a weekly game, or at least it would stop being fun eventually. Though in most running campaigns, this wouldn't even be possible because it does require a character of at least 18th level. So now that I've got the disclaimer out of the way, here's the combination. And it's pretty simple really, and it's kind of intuitive, which is likely why I had multiple players come up with the same combination, but I had never really thought of it before. So when I think about powerful 9th level spells, the first spell that comes to my mind is usually Wish, and then I think about things like True Polymorph and Prismatic Wall. Mass Heal is quite powerful, and Shapechange I think is a very powerful spell that comes to mind as well. So Shapechange lasts up to an hour with concentration, and it affects the caster. There is a lot of text for this spell, so I'm not going to read it word for word, but I'll give you the highlights. So, when you cast Shapechange, you take the form of any creature other than constructs or undead that has a challenge rating equal or lower than your level. You become an average example of that creature without any class levels, and if it has a spellcasting trait, it can't use it. You get to keep your alignment, your personality, and your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores. You also get both the creature's skill and saving throw proficiencies in addition to your own. If the creature normally has legendary or layer actions, you can't use them, though if it has legendary resistance, you can. And then you retain all your features from your class, race, or any other source, and you can use them as long as your new form is physically capable of doing so. So, for example, if you were to take a form that wouldn't be able to complete somatic components of spells, then you wouldn't be able to cast a spell with a somatic component. When you take your new form, you choose whether your equipment drops to the ground, merges with it, or is worn by it. And for the duration, you can use your action to assume a different form with the same restrictions and rules, except the new form can't have more hit points than your current form. And I mean, that's basically it. And with this combination, you're really just using one form. So the Merilith is a classic option for Shapechange, especially if you're playing a Blade Singer. That's the classic combo. You get 7 attacks on your turn, and if you're a Blade Singer, you get to add your intelligence modifier to the damage of every single hit. So the 2d8 plus 4 becomes, usually 2d8 plus 9. So 18 average damage over and over and over again. And generally, you want to do your tail attack first, and if the target is medium sized or smaller, then they're grappled and restrained, so you will get advantage on all those longsword attacks. And so that's all, kind of obvious. And if we look here, we get reactive, which says you can make one reaction on every turn in combat. So you can counterspell multiple times between turns, at least while your third level spell slots hold out. And you can easily cast shield every round because you can take shield as a spell mastery spell, so you can cast it without spell slots. I mean, you have this parry feature down here that gives you a +5 to armor class 2, same as shield, but that's just against one attack per turn and only melee attack. So shield is the better reaction. And with a base constitution saving throw of +10, that means anytime you take damage, you don't need to worry about concentration saving throws unless you have a DC of 12 or higher. So anything less than 24 damage doesn't even require a save. Oh, and with a base 18 armor class, you add Blade Song, now you're up to 23, and then you add Shield, and you're up to 28. And that's basically 28 armor class all the time in combat, since you can cast Shield on any turn, and it's going to last a round without using spell slots. And you have True Sight, with 120 foot range all the time. You have advantage on all saving throws against spells and magic effects, all your attacks are treated as magical, and you have all kinds of damage resistances and immunities. Oh, and you have an unlimited use, 120 foot teleport, though it does use an action, so you may still want Misty Step spell mastery anyways. So yeah, I've seen Shapechange used to take the Merilith form many times. I see lots of Planetars too, that's also a really good Shapechange form. Planetar is especially nice if you need to fly because its fly speed is 120. But now for the broken combo. So what my players discovered is that this reactive feature is absolutely broken if you don't use spell mastery for shield. And once you think about it, then it becomes kind of obvious what they took instead, right? I mean, you probably already know. Sure you do. They took Silvery Barbs. Okay, so Silvery Barbs is infamous for being too powerful for its level. But I wouldn't say it breaks the game, it's just really bad power creep. I talked about that in a recent video. But combine it with Merilith, and it is bonkers. So Silvery Barbs, I'll quickly recap it because, there's a good chance that a lot of my viewers have never seen this spell in play before because maybe your DM banned it on day one, or maybe you don't use setting books, or what have you. So a creature you can see within 60 feet of you makes a successful saving throw, attack roll, or ability check, then you can use your reaction to make them roll another d20 and use the lower roll. So if they had advantage or something on the initial roll, they're not going to get advantage on the reroll. You then choose an ally within 60 feet, and you can choose yourself if you like, and they get advantage on their next saving throw, attack roll, or ability check. And yeah, this spell, it's overpowered, even if you're expending first level spell slots and your lone reaction between turns. But at 18th level, a wizard chooses a first and second level spell from their spellbook, and they can cast those spells at their lowest level without expending a spell slot. So what that means is, in theory, a Merilith shape-changed wizard can cast Silvery Barbs on every turn for that hour. And since they have True Sight, it doesn't matter if the creature is invisible or in magical darkness, they're still a valid target for Silvery Barbs. So as the DM of these sessions, this was basically the instruction I was given. Every single time a monster succeeds on anything for the first time on any turn, I need to roll another d20 and take the lower roll. Every single time. And every single time a friendly character gets advantage on the next roll they make. And it was not unusual for every single player character to have advantage on their next turn. And like I said, I experienced this combination multiple times as a DM. And yeah, it's bonkers. I mean, it's the only word I can use to describe it. Bonkers. We spend most of the sessions just laughing at how bonkers it is. The monsters fail on almost everything, and the players always have advantage on almost everything. DMing this for some one-shots, I had a blast. It was really fun to see another way high-level wizards can break D&D. But I'll tell you what, if it was a campaign I was running through, there is no way I would allow this, because I know it would be fun for a couple sessions, but it would stop being fun, and it'd become annoying very soon. I mean, a DM, I guess, could just give all their monsters Dispel Magic, and eventually the wizard's going to run out of counter spells, and that'll end the shape change. But I don't think that's a very fun way to play, where you have to deliberately plan to foil the players. It's better just not to do this. Though for a one-shot for laughs, yeah, I highly recommend. Just make sure everyone's on board first. And if your DM is trying to create like a more serious, epic game, then maybe don't do this, even if it is a one-shot. So this was a shorter video today, but I thought this combination was interesting and broken enough to share in a video because I had not seen this before. So I figured a number of my viewers would never have thought of this either. Now I know a lot of my viewers are smarties and they've already figured this out, so take a well-deserved bow in the comments. But I'll tell you what, in my next video I'm going to share a high-level build that uses a combination that if you claim to have already figured out, I'm not going to believe you because it's not intuitive at all and really, really cool. Ramen Goblin, that's the guy who created the popular Double Phantom build, came up with this seriously unique idea for a build, and I promise you'll never have seen such a build in your life. We're going to use a spell that I've called out in the past as being really bad in a way that you have never ever considered. So I hope you'll check out my next video for that. Otherwise, until next time, I'm going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks everybody, and I'll talk to you soon.